What is that bouncing? What's that bouncing? Oh, it's delayed. Good evening. This is a regular City Council meeting of the City of Ocean Shores. It is May 28th, 2024, and the time is 6 p.m. That might be 6:01 now. The meeting is being held at the Ocean Shores Convention Center. The meetings are simulcast and archived on KOSW Radio. Meetings are live streamed with closed captioning and may be website can be viewed on cable channel 68 Thursdays at 12 p.m. and Sundays at 10 a.m. We have roll call, please.
Here. Sorry. Councilmember Taylor?
Here.
Councilmember Griebel? Here. Councilmember Klein? Here. Councilmember Scott? Here. Councilmember Wills?
Here.
Councilmember Hartman?
Here. Hartman, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we move to approval of the meeting agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Go ahead.
I move to amend the agenda by modifying agenda item number 10 to state it as a motion to rescind the council's disapproval of payment of legal fees instead of as a motion to reconsider payment of legal fees.
I second the motion.
Right, we got a motion and a second. Anybody want to discuss anything on that? All right, all in favor? Can we do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Sires? No. Councilmember Sires is a no. Councilmember Taylor?
No.
Councilmember Taylor is a no. Councilmember Griebel?
Yes.
Councilmember Griebel is a yes. Councilmember Klein? Oh. Councilmember Klein is a no. Councilmember Scott?
No.
Councilmember Scott is a no. Councilmember Wills?
Yes.
Councilmember Wills is a yes. Councilmember Hartman?
No.
Councilmember Hartman is a no. That's 5 noes and 2 yeses.
All right, does not pass. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to withdraw item number 10 off of the agenda.
I second. Is that mic working? All right, we got a motion to remove item 10 and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
We have another roll call, please.
Councilmember Sires?
Yes.
Councilmember Sires is a yes. Councilmember Taylor? This is to remove item 10.
Be a yes.
Councilmember Taylor is a yes. Councilmember Griebel?
No.
Councilmember Griebel is a no. Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein is a yes. Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Councilmember Scott is a yes. Councilmember Wills?
No.
Councilmember Wills is a no. Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman is a yes. That's 5 yeses and 2 noes to remove item 10.
All right, so item 10 has been removed from the agenda.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
No.
I need another roll call, please.
Councilmember Sires?
Yes.
Councilmember Sires is a yes. Councilmember Taylor? Councilmember Taylor is a yes. Councilmember Griebel?
Yes.
Councilmember Griebel is a yes. Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein is a yes. Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Councilmember Scott is a yes. Councilmember Wills?
No.
Councilmember Wills is a no. Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman is a yes. That's 6 yeses and 1 no.
All right. So, go on. I guess we go on. We're down one council member. Agenda goes in as approved. We have no ceremonies or proclamations. Announcements, we have 1 vacancy on the Civil Service Commission, 2 vacancies on the Planning Commission, 1 vacancy on the Parks Board, and 1 vacancy on the Library Board of Trustees. There are no appointments. We do have a Library Board trustee report with Alex Suarez.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
You know, on a regular basis, somebody from the library comes and does a report for you. So today I'd like to start by telling you the story of Jeff Evans, who was this young man who wanted to learn magic and went to his library, pulled out a book about magic, and many years later, Jeff Evans is now going to be presenting the Amazing Magic Show on June 20th at the library. Come and see him. See how libraries can change lives. And since the good weather is here and the school is going to be out, there's special things for the kids. Leap and Louie will be there on June 27th. We try to offer things for all ages, but also for adults. Tomorrow, for those of you who are no longer kids at heart, let's talk personal finance, solving your finance puzzle one piece at a time. Tomorrow from 1 to 4, we have all kinds of experts talking about finances. There are so many activities at the library. I will talk about the adult part today, but there's many others. So for the adults who still like to play games, pickleball, all about pickleball on June 7th at 2 o'clock. There's 2 different kinds of book groups. One where everybody reads the same book, one where everybody reads a different book and then talks about it. There's computer classes, Appy Hour on June 19th. There's a presentation of the Museum of North Beach on the 19th. That's a lovely museum, and if you want to supplement that knowledge, you can listen to the oral histories that are also located at the library. And there's all kinds of things that you can find at the library. We have more than 23,000 items plus electronic things available. And saying all this really means we hope you come and enjoy it. The library is there to enrich people, to enliven people, and we hope you appreciate the library and support and protect it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, golf course monthly report with Council Member Rich Hartman, Director of Operations. Oh, we got Ronnie. Sorry,
You're stuck
not
with
that
me.
that's bad.
Sorry.
I love Ronnie. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, being new to this, I've not presented this before, but I just want to give you a little recap of some of the stuff we have going on over the golf course. We last year, with Troon taking over May 1st, our annual 2-person championship was not held last year. So we reinstituted it this year and had a pretty good turnout for bringing it back. We had 68 golfers, had great weather, was a big success, step in the right direction. I'm also working currently with Pat Anderson from Grace Harbor Radio and Daryl Livingston. We're going to try to resurrect the Tee It Up for Tots tournament that used to be hosted out here through the United Way, and the QBR was involved in it, and that was a really good. It was a good fundraiser, and it filled the golf course up. We have 144 players, and that's an event that happens in September. Right now, we've got a couple of torn panels on the driving range netting, and talking with Judge Netting right now about getting that repaired. They're the ones that built the driving range originally and have been up here a couple times over the years doing repair work. So I'm going to work with Scott on that a little bit, get that going. I've been playing phone tag with them. One thing I'd like to say, I'd really like to thank the city for all the cooperation we've had at the golf course. I'm not kidding. It's been awesome. We've gotten so many things fixed and so much done. Our irrigation pump on the back nine was out. We couldn't get it prime. We had everybody coming and looking at it. And Ricky Victoriano, the head of the water department, showed up at the golf course one day to talk to me about reporting the water we use out of the canal for irrigation. And I said, well, I sure hope I have water to report, because right now our pump isn't working. He goes, well, why didn't anybody tell me this? So Ricky went over there and in about a day and a half had it up and running for us. And so that was a huge deal, because we had just aerified our greens and there was sand on them and it was warm and dry and not a good combination, but we got it going and it's working really well. City's come and they've installed heat in the restrooms on number 5, fixed the hot water tank, just a lot of stuff, provided rock for our cart baths at the golf course. And I appreciate it. I want to say thank you very, very, very much for your support. Had a little bit of a challenge. We lost our general manager back in April, Gary Enholm, so I've been kind of thrown into a position that I wasn't expecting to be thrown into, but we're making it work. We have a new golf course superintendent in Pat Opel, and he's doing a good job. He's been there for many years, and so things are headed in the right direction. So anyway, that's what I have to report.
Any questions from the council?
Good.
All right, thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, we have public comment coming up next. Public communication to council is intended for communication to the city council regarding general council business or policy not on tonight's agenda. Addressed comments or questions to the city council body, not an individual member or to city staff. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We request that comments be nice and respectful. This is not a question and answer time, and the council cannot engage in conversation with the public. No person may use the public comment for purpose of campaign or advertising. The city council will begin the time the citizen has started their public comment. At 2 minutes, they will see a green light, followed by a yellow light indicating 30 seconds remain of your public comment period. The red light will notify the reader that the public comment time has ended. Order of public comments, first will be individuals attending in person. Second will be individuals attending remotely. General public comments, whether in person or remotely, will continue in this usual position on the agenda. Who's up first?
Okay, I believe we have 6 this evening. Number 1, Kim Nichols and PJ Faria from the Ocean Shores Community Engagement Committee, and a reminder about the Ocean Shores City Market.
Good evening, Mayor, esteemed council members, and our neighbors of Ocean Shores. PJ and I are here on behalf of the Ocean Shores Community Engagement Committee, and we would like to remind all of our neighbors that the city market opens for business this Saturday, June 1st at 10 a.m. We're located on the north side of Champs-Lemaire between Aft Galley and Bank of the Pacific. We'd especially like to give many thanks to Ron Bennett, who was instrumental in helping us secure a site, because that was no easy task. Connie Clifford literally had tears when she was able to tell us that we got the site. So many thanks to Ron. And also, this is going to be a great site for, we'll have it all summer long. It's sure to offer our vendors great exposure. and definitely promote walkability for our community. So we do hope that you all come and join us and support the City Market. And we'll look forward to seeing you all there.
Sherry Dooley, speechless not.
There we go. Yeah, I'm never speechless. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the city and Ojai Bay Village and Too Cool Sportswear for sponsoring our Jeeps for Clean Shores 2 weekends ago. We had a blast. Everyone who was there had a great time. We didn't have an official count because not everyone registered, but there was at least 1,800 Jeeps there. So next year, we're hoping for more. Each year, it's a little bit more. But one of my favorite parts of this whole thing was when we were riding in the parade, and the kids and the adults were all on the side of the road watching us go by, and the kids are all excited, and we're tossing ducks to the kids, and they were so excited. But my husband had the foresight to remember the adults, and he bought 2 bags of little Hershey's miniature candy bars. So as we were going by groups of adults, I'd throw them out and say, "Adults get chocolate," and they'd all go, "Yay!" So it was nice that we were able to put smiles on the kids' faces as well as the adults. And I know several of the kids at my school saw me in the parade. So when they came in on Monday, they said, I saw you. I said, "How many ducks do you get?" I had one kid tell me she got 172 ducks. Wow. That's a lot of ducks. That's more than what I have on my dashboard, and I have a lot. So I wanted to thank those 2 companies because they were big sponsors for it, and I look forward to it again next year. Thank you.
Nancy Milliman, my opinion.
Good evening, everyone. As a full-time citizen of Ocean Shores for the last 15 years, I want to say it has been quite an adventure. And I want to thank our elected officials for your time, energy, and dedication. And thank you for the opportunity of having public comment. This is an integral part of our community. Have a good evening.
Gina Rawlings, appearance of fairness and optics of the situation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. And I do also ask that you know that we appreciate having the public comment at the beginning of the meeting. It's important to us, and we don't want to do anything to lose that opportunity. And I don't want to be in a situation where I'm being difficult as far as something that has been removed from council's agenda. But I think it bears witness to making a comment or 2 on it. And I just am incredulous that somebody would be on the agenda setting and vote to have them be in a situation where they would receive financial benefit. That, to me, the optics is wrong, and I think that it is poor judgment. I also am concerned that when the Mayor Pro Tem talked about this, she was very explicit in the letter that she read to council. I think I agreed with everything that she said, and there was no remorse, there was no repentance, there was no accountability and responsibility for the actions taken. And throwing staff under the bus was part of that, was not necessary. I also want to state that I went to the trial, or the reason for sufficiency, And it was not a big win. It was to determine if there was sufficiency for a recall. And at the end of it, the judge told the person who filed that they were doing the job that they needed to do, that we were all supposed to be watching our government officials. So I want to say that at the end of the last meeting, a council member was not happy about the decision about having the attorney's fees repaid. But at the end, the comments that were made almost seemed like a threat to me. And so I hope that if this gets revisited, that this is considered as part of it. And again, I thank you for your time.
Jane Shattuck, update, and agenda item 10.
Good evening. Jane Shattuck, Ocean Shores residents. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I wanted to give an update for the city kennel. Normally, I would have waited until the end of month, so I had totals for you, but I am pleased to announce that on March 23rd, Starsha was adopted and now has a forever home with a family, including a little boy who adores her and whom she adores. Again, I want to thank the wonderful volunteers and the countless hours they give for the love and the care of the animals. Additionally, I want to add a big thank you to all the businesses that allowed us to display the flyers of Starsha in their establishments and the city library. The businesses that allowed us to include displaying those flyers were Give Me Paws Grooming, Jip and Gwinner's Pet Boutique, Ocean Shore Storage, Grace Harbor Plumbing, IGA, Too Cool Sportswear, Capalis Beach Grocery, Ocean Beach Roasters and Bistro, and The Painted Lady. This shows what a community can accomplish when we all work together. I also want to add that this last Saturday I was manning a garage sale for Defenders of the Coast, and it was one of the best days of my life for the simple fact is I was doing things for Defenders of the Coast, but also for the fact that I got to see both Starsha and Fred, formerly known as Debo, were out with their new families, walking around, enjoying the fresh air, and enjoying their freedom once again, other than having to be stuck in a kennel. So that just brought a huge smile to my face. I had more comment on Agenda 10, but since it was removed, I won't go into that, other than I thank you for removing it. And on a personal note with that, I just think it was a very self-serving thing to do and very and very disingenuous to the taxpayers of Ocean Shores. Other than that, thank you all who have helped with the kennel and help with getting these dogs back out in the community, enjoying life as they should.
Jeff Myers, item 10.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Myers. I'm the attorney whose bill Councilmember Wills asked you to pay. In my mind, this isn't a matter of money. It's a question of fairness to your colleague, a question of fairness to the voters who elected your colleague, and a question of this council's utter lack of transparency in how it reached its decision. You have now set a precedent that you will not stand behind a democratically elected council official when there is a baseless recall sought against that member, and that you will inflict the cost of defending his seat that the voters elected him to on him individually. I think you should think twice about that and the ramifications of that. But I should also think you should think twice about the fairness of this entire process to your colleague. This council never explained or even bothered to discuss the ultimate question in open session. Instead, it went into an executive session when the litigation was already over. Now, I don't know of any Open Public Meetings Act provision that allows an executive session as to whether or not you want to pay a bill. The public deserves to know why. The public deserves an open discussion. Councilmember Wills deserves to know why. And he deserves an open debate and discussion. And he is allowed to participate as an elected member of this body. Instead, you went into executive session and you decided to stab him in the back. This is a betrayal of the policies of transparency of the Open Public Meetings Act and a betrayal of your colleague who was democratically elected. I think you should all be ashamed.
That concludes in-person public comment. I don't know if Don Williams still wants to comment on item 10.
Yeah, I think I will. Can I get on?
Please.
Okay, thank you very much. I was not going to comment because the item was pulled off the agenda. So I'm just going to pick out some parts that I have to say in response to the previous speaker also. I read the 45 pages in the agenda, and I really wasn't impressed. If you look at page 51, here Mr. Wills implies that since the court found the recall charges to be legally insufficient to form a basis for recall, that an RCW then requires the council to agree to pay his legal expenses. That's not the case, because the actions by Mr. Wills that led to the recall was not part of his official council duties, and for sure were not in good faith. Both are prerequisites for the repayment of the fees. And I'm just going to conclude by saying that contrary to what Mr. Wills wants you to believe, there's no requirement that the city is compelled to pay Mr. Wills' legal costs. His actions were not part of his official duties, nor were they made in good faith. In my opinion, if you approve paying for legal expenses, in effect you condone actions that further set back your efforts to build community support and trust. And in conclusion, from a personal point of view, and I think the same for other people too, I do not want my taxpayer dollars being spent to cover stupid errors of judgment made by elected officials. For that reason, I recommended that you deny the payment. I don't have to do that now because it's off the agenda. But if it comes up again tonight, I would like to come back and speak. Thank you.
And that concludes public comment for this evening.
All right, next we've got the city administrator's report.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council and citizens. First item, I got a few items on this, but the Fresh Waterways Management Plan. Residents of Ocean Shores are invited to learn more about the development of the Ocean Shores Lake and Watershed Management Plan at the Ocean Shores Public Library. Tim Clark of Herrera Environmental Consultants provide an overview of how his team will develop comprehensive science-based guide for public and private investment for the benefit of human recreation and environmental health in the fresh waterways of Ocean Shores. During this initial presentation, Herrera will briefly describe the history of our fresh waterways, past studies, and past efforts to improve our water quality. He will describe the scientific study approach to evaluate current conditions in the fresh waterways and how they will inform the management plan as it develops. I will let you know that the plan is to focus on surface water quality in Ocean Shores, and that other issues such as fisheries, aquatic plants, drinking water quality, and flooding will be tangentially considered but are not central to the water quality management. The first meeting for this will be June 6th at the Ocean Shores Public Library. It seats 50 people, so you can blame the city administrator if about 75 people show up, because we couldn't quite wrangle this between this and the convention center. It's between 4:30 and 6:30. Hopefully we'll have enough seating for everyone, but if not, there will be follow-up meetings in July. So we will see how that goes, but again, this June 6th, 4:30 to 6:30 at the Ocean Shores Public Library. And now a number of smaller issues. Ocean Shores Fire Department, two issues. The Ocean Shores Fire Department received a $2,000 grant from the Western Region of EMS Council for fall prevention classes. The money is now being used to produce fall prevention materials and create classes for our fall prevention program. You may not know this, but falls are actually the most common call that the Ocean Shores Fire Department responds to. And this fall prevention program will continue for years and will continue to use the materials that we produced as a result of this grant opportunity. In addition, on the fire department front, volunteer firefighter graduation. 5 Ocean Shores Fire Department volunteer firefighters have graduated from the Grays Harbor County Fire Academy, receiving their Washington State Firefighter 1, Hazmat Awareness, and Hazmat Operations and Wildland Firefighting certificates. Over 240 hours were spent with hands-on training and written testing, and we are proud to say that all of our members received honors for going above and beyond with their professional performance. And if you look at the report as it will come out on the city's website, it'll list what everyone individually received for those graduates. Notifications for residents. The City of Ocean Shores will be selling sand on June 11th and 12th. If you are interested in buying sand, you can either write or call myself, the city administrator, and we will get you on the list. The city is likewise reviewing our resolution that was passed in 2017 to determine both the cost of sand and making sure that we are in compliance with the Washington State Auditor's Office. Before the sand sale happens on June 11th, 12th, we will likely be bringing an updated resolution to council for the first council meeting in June before the sales begins, and I'll also walk you through the process for what you know, what you need to do to purchase that sand. Some wildlife issues, deer and bears. There have been a number of small fawn sightings where baby deer are found near the road or under a bush. Please do not touch these animals. Their mother is usually out foraging. If you do see an animal that has been there far too long, or you actually know the mother has been killed or injured in a car accident or some such thing, please call Scott Harris at the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife. And that number is 360-581-2806. Again, this will be posted on the website. But yeah, please do not move those fawns. 95% of the time, the mother will return. And just a reminder that likewise, cute bear cubs are not cute if mom thinks they are in danger. Please avoid getting out of vehicles. I've seen this. To take photos or approaching them, you are putting yourself and the bear cubs and the mother in danger, because if the mother attacks, you will have to be euthanized. So please be very, very careful and exercise good judgment. I know they look cute, but mom may not think what you're doing is appropriate. Chinook Park. The City of Ocean Shores would like to thank all the volunteers who came to assemble the playground equipment and the handicap swing at Chinook Park. The playground equipment is assembled, and we also like to thank the Ocean Shores Parks Advisory Board for helping to move this entire effort forward. In follow-up to one of our earlier comments, Jeeps beach cleanup, City of Ocean Shores would really like to thank all of the participants and volunteers and the organizers involved in the beach cleanup crew. On Friday, May 17th and Sunday, May 18th, Jeeps and beach cleanup enthusiasts came together for the benefit of the community. The Jeep parade was a stunning success. An estimated almost 1,900 and possibly 1,900 Jeeps taking part in the event. We don't have an exact count, as was mentioned earlier, but the city really appreciates the work of Joe and Pam at Too Cool Sports, Nicole Koch, and so many others that put out time and effort and marketing push to make this the successful event that it was. And then last but not least, unfortunately, vandalism and accidents. 2 unfortunate incidents happened over the course of this last weekend. The first was rather serious, and it occurred around 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday the 26th, when a Tesla tried to pass on Tonkin Bridge while moving at an extremely high rate of speed. And it crashed head-on, trying to pass on the bridge, into a Silverado truck coming off of Marine View Drive. Estimates, we don't have an actual number, believe the car may well have been going in excess of 75 miles an hour. 2 individuals were transported to the hospital. Witnesses on the scene believe the driver of the Tesla was likely intoxicated, but we do not have official confirmation of that. And a police investigation is underway, and that is why, if you notice that the bridge was shut down over the weekend, that is why. And then just across the street from us at the Ocean Shore Skate Park, a porta potty was vandalized, and we are not sure if it was blown up by fireworks or simply ripped apart, but it does look to have been incendiary devices that were used in it. The city is looking at ways to mitigate this in the future, but we are aware that with 4th of July coming up, we are unfortunately likely to have a few incidents of this type. And then lastly, I was in touch with Brian Ritter. We're going to have more information on the 4th of July and the ability to watch the 4th of July, should you not want to go out into the beach, from our dune trail, but I will have more information on that at the next council meeting. And that concludes the city administrator report. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Scott. So next up, we have council liaison and committee reports. Would you like to start us off there, Mr. Hartman?
I met with the two chiefs of fire department and was going over their EMS funding. City chats, met with, came to city chats and listened to the presentation for 4th of July. Worked with Sarah on LTAC and how we can streamline things in the future. And that's my report.
All right, thanks. Richard?
Well, I have just two things, and one of them Scott already touched on. Again, I want, on behalf of the Parks Department, to thank all of the volunteers who showed up and helped assemble the recreation equipment at Chinook Park. It was a rousing success, and it's open for business. And I also attended the agenda setting on, I think that was 16th of May of 24. That's all I have.
All right, thanks. Allison?
I signed warrants and also attended the city chats about the 4th of July. I attended Public Works, and Scott went over a few things. There are quite a few projects that are out to bid right now. Some of those include with the water reservoirs to be tested for lead and asbestos, the convention center soffits. Restriping bids are out for reflective striping for doing Point Brown, Ocean Shores Boulevard, and Duck Lake. And they are waiting on bids to come in on projects, and then they'll be making a decision.
All right, thanks. Lisa?
I also attended Public Works, and that was pretty cool to see the reflective striping being included in the bid. I know that that came out in a lot of public comments, and it didn't add to the actual cost for restriping, so glad that we're heading in that direction. I think it will really make a difference. Also having, Becky gave us a little bit of an update on where we were at on getting all of our striping and in a more cohesive plan or pattern so that we knew how often to get it done, making sure we were on top of it. So she's been working diligently on that. I also attended agenda setting, council of governments, signed warrants, and then had several meetings with city staff and the mayor and city administrator.
All right, thanks. Denise?
I also attended the town hall that was discussing our 4th of July plans. I signed warrants 1 week, and thank you, Allison, for filling in for me while I was in Fort Worth. And I attended the radio board today. So please look for the KOSW float in our Flag Day parade on June 8th. They will also be at Sand and Sawdust and a lot of the upcoming events. Also, we have 2 new female DJs that are in training, and that will make 1/3 of the KOSW DJs female. So, you go, ladies.
All right, thanks. Tom?
I hate to say it, but finance was canceled, and Public Works can't say much more than what's already there. So, sorry about I don't get to speak a lot.
All right, Lisa?
Thank you. I attended agenda setting. I'd like to thank the presentation from the Library Board of Trustees tonight. A reminder that the next Library Board meeting is June 12th at 3 o'clock, and I zoomed in to the Town Hall on the 4th of July. Not on the 4th of July, about the 4th of July.
All right, thanks. So the mayor's report's up next. It's been like 4 or 5 years since we've had the ability to have a container to recycle motor oil. That has now been set up, and it'll be in the Public Works yard right near the gate when you come in off Ocean Lake Way. It'll be open Wednesday. First day it'll be open Wednesday, June 5th, but it'll be open every Wednesday after that from 12 to 3, and that's motor oil only that you can take there. I know it was well used when it was over by the glass in the dumpsters over there in the yard behind the bowling alley. So we were happy to get this going. We had great cooperation with the county. They gave us the container for free. And so we're all set up for that. So if you change your own oil or have some motor oil that you need to get rid of, you can bring it there, and it's free to offload it there in our container. Farmers Market was mentioned that June 1st. The location will be in a lot directly south of Aft Galley Hot Dogs. You guys know where that's at, off of Chance-a-la-Mire. I just want to thank the Community Engagement Committee for organizing this weekly event, and it's going to run until September 2nd. And I know they've got a farmer lined up and some other vendors, and they're going to keep working on that, and it's just going to keep growing. But really happy to see that get off the ground. It's going to be easy to find. There's parking in that lot behind the bowling alley, and you can just walk across from there to the west, and you'll see where they're set up at. Another thing, no dogs in the kennel that was mentioned. They've all been adopted out. I think a really big thank you to Jane Shattuck for all her work. She's put in tens of hours, I'll say 40 hours a week at least, volunteering, taking care of the dogs and making sure that they get walked and they get some human interaction, and it made for a lot better adopted dogs by doing that. So she did a really great job, and so did the volunteers that she's rounded up to make all that happen. So they took really good care of the dogs, and I really want to thank you. I'm a dog person, so I like to see the dogs being treated as well as they can under those circumstances. The Flag Day Parade will be June 8th. That starts at 11 a.m. I don't know if they're still taking applications if somebody wants to get in it, but you contact the Elks about that. We're in the process. I think we're getting real close to being done, so we can hire our code enforcement officer that's been in the wings going through the processes. So that'll be a big help for the city and keeping an eye on some things that we need to get corrected for the citizens here. We're going to have a town hall on the 26th of June. That'll be at 6 p.m. at the convention center. And going back to the Chinook Park, I walked that Sunday and checked all that out. And I'll tell you, those volunteers, that looks like a professional job. That equipment is put together so nice. And you don't see any flaws. Everything's fitting perfect. And there was kids playing on it on Sunday, and I was really impressed with the equipment that was purchased and how that was all put together. So just want to thank all the volunteers for that. And that's all I got. So next up, we got consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We have no old business. In new business, we have an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending the Ocean Shores Municipal Code Title 15, Section 15.08.040, relating to building permits and fees. And this will be presented by our building official, Roy Simmons. You can sit at the table, Roy. You got all that paperwork there.
There it is, okay. So going back into our codes, we had a CAVS meeting, that's a community assistance visit, and that has to deal with FEMA. And so going back through our municipal code, it was written decades ago, and it was missing a lot of verbiage that qualifies us for the FEMA coverage. And it also affects the rates that people pay for.
Hey, Roy.
Yeah.
This one is for permit fees. So this.
Oh,
is
I'm
amending
sorry.
the-
Permit fees, I'm
I got
sorry.
them upside down. Okay, so let's start with the permit fees. So again, our codes are decades old and outdated from 1998. And so in these fees, the ICC, that's the International Code Council, they allow you different methods for valuation. So when you come to me for a permit, I have to assign a valuation to what your project is. And so off that valuation, it goes through a UBC table, and then it spits out the number at the bottom, right? And so these valuation numbers, we get them twice a year, get them in February and August from the ICC. They're sent to each municipality, and we take those numbers and we input those into our system. And that's again, it's twice a year. It's a big project. It takes about a week to get it done for each cycle that it changes. However, in the ICC, it also states that if you want to be city funded, and it goes by percentage of funding, where the permit department can fund itself, or 50% of its whatever, you break those down into percentages. Those are all formulas that are taken from the finance director, and I get the numbers that we spent in the year before, what was spent out of the budget. We take those numbers and we take the square footage of the construction of that year, and we divide that in there, and that gives us our valuation numbers. That kind of breaks down that table, and then in that, I also have the opportunity where I can do these numbers annually instead of twice a year, and the numbers would be a little more predictable. And it, again, would be based on covering my department's budget. That's the employees that work there, the truck that we drive, it would basically fund the department. And the fees, honestly, I doubt the average person's going to notice a big difference in those fees. I mean, remodels are based on a valuation that's provided with what the cost of that remodel is. But on new construction, it would go through that sieve or that filter to break us out that number. And I, speaking for myself, as hard as it is to change, we use CitizenServe for our permitting. In that formula, like I said, it takes about a week to get those numbers, and then we've got to audit it a few times before we have confidence that it's working. So doing it annually would be great. I mean, I can by the end of the first week in January every year, we could have our numbers plugged in there. And again, it would be based off of historic numbers and historic footage that we've used, and that number would change, as the years, travel. And if we have a problem, a shortfall, or if we have an issue, or we know that, like we took on CitizenServe for the electronic permitting, and we were allotted a certain amount of money to do that. If we have special projects like that, we could also put that into our budget and break that out by the square footage that we average, as we build through the year. So that's one part of it. The second part of it is in 4.36 of the Washington State Building Code. So they have suggested fees for things. So like you have square footage fees for your house or storage unit or building or whatever you're building. There's also a per item fee. So you have plumbing fixtures. And so if you have 12 plumbing fixtures, currently we charge $7 a fixture. That is a number from 1998. And so as these, there are different fees in here that are structured from quite some time ago, and I'm kind of locked into that code until we change that. And so the only thing that helps me here is that we've adopted the International Residential Code, International Building Code in its entirety. And so a part of that is the ICC tables, which helps me. It's an appendix in the code book. But again, to clean this up, reinspection fees currently are $47. I have some builders that have ran up bills of $900 in reinspection fees because it's not taking it seriously. Houses aren't in that great a shape, and it's been a struggle to get through the process. And so in all of these fees, I have spelled out some of the specific numbers that I'd like to go after, but our reinspection fee was $150. And I named 10 items that you needed to fix, and you fixed 4 of them and called me back out again. I'm spending city money. I'm spending my time, which these days is it's pretty valuable. I'm spending gas, and I'm putting miles on your seated vehicle to go out and stare at nothing. And so in these, I don't think it's unreasonable, but if you go through the state recommended fees, we fall with my new fee structure well under that. Currently just other fees like sewer fees. So if you have a camping lot and you bring your sewer into the lot and then you want to extend it to your house, so we only charge $10. $10 doesn't cover the 2 or 3 man crew that goes out and does the inspections and testing and the truck and all the tools and everything that we do. We have other fees for right-of-ways, and this is for your power company, your cable company, your phone company. Currently, we've been charging them $25, and that requires that we build a permit for one, which takes about an hour, and then two, it requires the crew chief from the Public Works Department to go out and do an inspection and sometimes do follow-up for $25. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting a $200 a month cable bill, and I don't think $25 is really, I'd like to take that number to $100. I mean, so there's certain things that I would like to do in specifics, but for the most part, I'd like to address the code to where I can cover the expenses for my department through some number changes.
All right. Thank you. Do we have public comment? Yes. Doug, can you get her the mic? Thank you. Can you turn it on, please?
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
that helps. Okay. My question in looking at this was why. There was a good explanation given, but why on earth have we changed the ordinance to make the mayor and his designee the owners of that table? We changed a number of years ago, and I don't know how many decades, but I've only been here a little over 2 decades. And it was while I was here, we changed to the International Building Code for the very reason that it eliminated the appearance of fairness that existed in the other mode. And it placed responsibility for keeping the numbers up to date into the building group. And it would then be applicable anywhere. And there were some changes. There were changes made when OIHUT went in. And those were negotiated, they were brought to council, they were approved by council, and they were used for that one project. And then we went back to what I always thought was updated tables that kept us current with costs. So from the standpoint of getting current with costs, I totally agree, but let's do that through a process, not through the approval of 1 or 2 people.
Sure, in my own defense, in the very few times that I've come.
Sorry, you don't know the rules.
You don't. Sorry. Yeah, we don't answer questions.
Oh, okay.
But the public. Sorry. Do we have any other public comment? Yes. On up.
Thank you for letting me address this. I remember being at a council meeting and having this discussion many years ago, and everyone in the audience was asking for a raise in fees to cover the cost, and it was not addressed. It was determined that they were going to keep the fees low because of all the houses that were being built, and that we didn't need to make any kind of increase on it. And it's obvious that it's costing more than what it's bringing in. So I would agree with this, and there was history there, but it's a little bit, I remember it differently. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Yes.
I just want to say that once again, I do think if you look at these fees, and you know, many of you know how much I've addressed the OSMC and our ordinances and all of that, and know how far behind, and this is just another instance, and you look at the numbers that Roy has given, and how they do not give him the ability to fund his own department. So I think it's really important that we look at this and give him the ability to be self-sufficient in that area and cover the employees and all the needs that that department has. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Any other public comment?
We have one online. Don Williams, are you ready?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hear you perfectly.
Okay, thank you very much. Don Williams here, and really support this ordinance because it provides an annual fee adjustment that can reflect the city's costs of the processing building permits and inspections. And I want to thank Roy for explaining it exactly how it works. But I would like you to consider one amendment to this ordinance. Let me start out by saying that the ordinance as it's written gives the mayor and or designee sole authority to set building permit fees without prior review and approval of the city council. And that's not right. These fees are charged to citizens, and they're also an integral part of the city budget. So ultimate authority to set these fees should lie with the city council. So I'd ask you to consider an amendment, very simple. It's on page 23, amendment to section A. The very first sentence would read as follows, and I gave the email was passed out to all council members today. And the first sentence of section A would read, the determination of value or valuation fee schedule under any of the provisions of the code shall be made by mayor and or designee, and then add the word subject to final approval by the city council of an ordinance setting or changing the value or valuation fee schedule. So I think since these affect everybody in town, it falls on the council to make the final decision. And the building inspector, assuming this gets approved as amended, hopefully, the building inspector should immediately begin a review of all city building permits and inspection fees, and to try to bring an ordinance to the city council that updates those fees. And I would hope that be done as soon as possible. It does appear from the way Rory explained it that this is a very complicated process involving many parameters, including the city's internal costs to operate the permit center, and whether that even is known, I don't know if the information is great, but when the new fees are presented for your approval, hopefully through an ordinance to the council, I hope the council requests an explanation of how the fees were established and also to compare to prior fees. And just in conclusion, I just want to say that I'm absolutely appalled that these fees have not been reviewed since 1994. But I do know that with prior city councils, not this one, because you haven't had a chance yet, but each year during the fall budget discussion process, it's been requested to have an annual review of and possibly updating all city fees to be discussed as a necessary action as part of the budget process. This was proposed every single year by at least one council member, but nothing ever happened. The city council should establish a policy to review all fees each year in the fall as part of the initiation of the budget process. So please consider establishing such a policy. And again, please consider the proposed amendment. I think the city council, since it affects...
That's time, Mr. Williams.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, it's open for council questions and comments. And go ahead, Lisa.
I too think that seeing a change on the fee as far as this ordinance and how it's written, it would be really nice if our fees could be set by resolution, so all fees were taken out of the ordinance per se, and any time you needed to make an amendment, it wasn't necessarily to the ordinance itself, but to the resolution. So I'd like to recommend seeing those fees put into a resolution. I think it'll make your life easier and ours as well.
That's, okay. So yeah, the mayor and designee only came into place because I was hoping that it was, I wasn't trying to not run it by city council, but I know your guys' agenda is busy. I've been trying to, get here. It literally takes months to get that going. And so I didn't want to find myself into March trying to set January pricing. So, but I agree with your
All right. Anybody else? Yes, Rich.
Question for Mayor Pro Tem as well. Since you deal with this on a daily do you feel that putting in that line that was suggested by one of the speakers this evening is reasonable? Subject to the final approval of the city council as an ordinance setting up the changing? The actual having the city council do it rather than just the mayor?
Correct. I think that either by ordinance or resolution would be great. I kind of prefer resolution just because it's a little bit easier to change and you're not digging back into the ordinance. But in any way, shape, or form that you want to have it come forward is great. But yes, it should be brought to the city council because we're the ones that have to answer to our citizens, and we want to make sure that that it's right.
Go ahead, Richard.
So, I loved your explanation. What I'm not sure of is there, when you're done compiling all that data and entering all of that data, is there a table that the builder can go to and say, this is how much this is going to cost me? Is that a product that is in existence or that can be made into existence?
So there are variables. So like when a city puts out like a permit price for 1,500 square foot house, what's not in there, I mean, there's several things in a permit fee. One is the permit fee. One of them is the plan review fee, which is 65% of the permit fee. And then below that, you have a state surcharge. And then below that, you have how many plumbing fixtures, how many mechanical fixtures, how many, all these things, right? And so if you, and is it commercial or is it residential? And so the sieve that everything has to find its way through. So it wouldn't be as simple as calling me, but I can get you within about $300 or $400 on a permit if you tell me what you're building and the square footage and that. And I can just off of using the table and also having that.
Just follow up, so the final cost of the permit, the builder wouldn't know the final cost of the permit until he has submitted the permit and you have done those calculations, but you can give him a ballpark.
I can get him pretty close, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we got any other questions, comments? Oh, I'm sorry, Denise.
Yeah, I just had another question for Lisa as to if we say that it is going to be subject to the approval of the city council, do we need to even specify whether it is by ordinance or whether it is by resolution? I mean, ordinance does seem like it's a little bit cumbersome to do it that way. But wouldn't we also be approving it as part of the budget process?
Not necessarily. And you should specify whether it's ordinance or resolution. Where it wouldn't say part of the budget, let's say there's an adjustment in fees for electrical, because let's say mechanical or plumbing. Then they come in an off-budget year or in the middle of a budget. So we would want the ability to be able to adjust those rates to make sure that we are keeping up with the state and what's required, and it may not coincide with budget.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense with the biennial budget.
I wasn't sure I answered that.
Yes, Rich.
Sorry, Lisa, this is way over my pay grade, so I'm needing your help. If we do this in a resolution format, are we now setting up ourselves and future council members that we're not necessarily adjusting or addressing it again? It's using the building codes and the IBC. Is there a chart there that gives us a number, and then is there an
there would be a
inflationary
fee
number?
schedule that the building official would put together. It'd almost be nice to see all of the divisions in the city be able to go to a fee resolution so that you could see them all together. But Roy I would presume, would give you a sheet of all the fees, and so you would see them, and you wouldn't do any kind of change to a new resolution being brought forward unless there was a change in the fees. But the council would approve that at that point.
So the fees are hypothetically automatically changed by the IBC,
You don't automatically change them. You would have to bring those back to be adjusted by the council.
Okay, so they might change them, but we still have to say yes. Okay, and then, okay, so every year, there's not an inflationary number. It's literally a whole new hypothetical.
It's based
chart.
on, it'd be based on like, for this coming January, it would be based on the square footage that was built in the city of Ocean Shores this year, which we track. And it would also be based on my expenses for the year, what we spent in my department.
Okay, so this is literally exclusive just to our city. It's not that we've got,
No, it's in the ICC format. So the International Code Council says you can use our chart twice a year, exactly like it's written. It gives you $11.75 a square foot for this or that, right? When you do it the other way, where you want to finance your department, right on the top of that chart, it has a paragraph in there. And in that paragraph, it says, it gives you this formula. So if you want to be 100% financed for your department, then you take the full number and you know, the square footage and the full number of the budget that was used that year, and you divide it in there, and that's your dollars per square foot. And so it kind of breaks your numbers out that way.
so then we just have to have set up in our structure that every single year it actually gets addressed instead of forgotten for the last 30 years.
Yeah, and like I said, it's kind of a if it was like an annual event that had a date, like Christmas or something, Christmas code be changed. Because my goal is by the end of the first week of January every year to be able to tell everybody what their fees are going to be, because it's a struggle with the system that we use, the permitting software that we use. I have to input each and every number in there, so when the permit tech is entering stuff in there, they don't have to manually look through charts and books, and I've already priced that out per foot or per item, and so they're just clicking count buttons, and then it calculates.
And you may have a year that you don't.
Miss Sarah had something to add, probably along
It's also something that we could just add to our budget calendar. That simple, that we review the resolutions at a specific meeting, and if there's any changes, and if there's no changes, they're just put in there so the citizens and the council can see that they've been reviewed during that budget season.
I'm just scared that we will forget by accident.
But it's the budget calendar. So if we start putting it in now, it'll go and go.
I'll remind you.
But 20 years from now, you probably won't still be reminding us.
They're carrying me out in a bag. So
Okay.
Go ahead,
30
Lisa.
years.
I'd like to go ahead and so I'd like to, so do you want me to, so my brain's fuzzy right now. Do I need to make an amendment?
So if we're wanting to do what the council is
Yeah.
discussing with Roy, it'd be similar to what Mr. Williams said, but we would do mayor and or designee, subject to final approval by the city council of
By
a
resolution.
resolution.
Yep.
And then just leave it at that, and A and B, and we can bring back the resolution at the very next meeting.
Okay. So I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to amend the ordinance that is in there under Section 1, 1508-040, Part A, in the first sentence, at the very end of the first sentence, after the mayor and or designee, subject to final approval by city council via resolution.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any conversation about this? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Bring it back next meeting. All right. One more, Roy.
I can talk.
In an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending the Ocean Shores Municipal Code, Title 15, Section 15.36, relating to flood damage prevention. Presented by Roy Simmons.
Okay, so earlier this year, we met with Alex Rosen, so he's the floodplain management planner for this area. And so He kind of did an audit with the city, went through the municipal codes, actually drove through the city, marked addresses for me to be, it's part of my audit, which I have to get done here in the next month. But part of this was having the municipal code being written in the format that follows the FEMA guidelines. And so if we don't, things affect coverage, things affect rates. And so the verbiage, I took his verbiage and I took chapter, it's in chapter 3 of the IRC, it's 322. And we took those and melded that together. And that is the verbiage that I would like to have introduced into our municipal code. Again, it's not just a, can I do this? It's like we have to do this. And this in this CAV meeting, he spelled out a lot of deficiencies in the municipal code, and then you know, some of the things that have been done in the past. I'm gonna be dealing with him with possibly up to 3 homeowners, and we're gonna work our way through the audit and the buildings and plans that were reviewed or not reviewed and that type of thing. But so that's basically it. It's like it's not wasn't really a big thing for discussion. So I hope the writing was clear, but that is actually what has to be in our municipal code for this to work.
All right. Thanks, Roy. Any public comments? We got one online.
Yep. Don Williams.
Okay, are we back on?
We are.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I tried to read this. Obviously, it's very, very complicated. In the agenda bill, it makes reference to the shoreline management plan. I'm assuming that's an error. There's nothing in these documents involving the SMP. It was on the 4th line of the agenda item. But I just kind of wonder, I don't understand all these things that are going on, but it just seems to me that these requirements are going to put a major burden on what has to be done differently on new construction, and even maybe someone like myself that wants to do a remodel. I'd like to have you ask the building inspector his opinion on what is this going to do to the construction of homes and other structures in Ocean Shores. I see things in here that look to be adding a lot of cost, and also how would it affect people doing remodels? And also, I'm assuming that unless you do a remodel, things are grandfathered in. So I'd like to have somebody ask Roy about what this is going to do to construction costs and complexity of getting permits and proceeding, and also on people like myself that might want to do a remodel. And thank you very much.
All right, thanks. All right, it's open for council questions and discussion. Yes, Lisa.
So Roy, I appreciate all of this. Having gone through this, it is immense. And typically, and you correct me if I am wrong, but where Mr. Williams was asking, it's 50% of the assessed value, or you can use a current appraisal if you have one. But if you go over the 50% assessed value on a remodel project is when you do have to bring up to FEMA flood standards. So that is set by FEMA. Am I out of time? So I know it's challenging, and there's a 5-year reset clock on that as well. So if you say did 40% and then 5 years later did something else, there are some provisions there, and also some maintenance items. If you're just putting a roof on, some of that's not included in the FEMA standards as well. So you're right, Mr. Williams, it is complicated. But Roy has done a really good job working with FEMA getting there, and the penalty of not conforming to this is not being covered under the National Flood Insurance, which is even bigger.
Prices, they charge more. So,
any other questions? Comments? All right. You gonna make a comment? All right.
I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending Ocean Shores Municipal Code, Title 15, Section 1536, relating to flood damage prevention. Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is there any other comment? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, we have no discussion items, no executive session. Agenda review will be Scott, Taylor, and Sires. And that will be this Thursday at 9 a.m. via Zoom. And next up, we have good of the order for 3 minutes. And Lisa Griebel, would you like to start?
Thank you. Just a reminder, Sundays 2:30 at the library. Come chat with a council member. We might be transitioning to a summer schedule, but looking forward to seeing people there. And I just wanted to reiterate what a lot of people said about the Jeep weekend. It was truly awesome and amazing. And we're gearing up for summer. I know I have lots of visitors coming already for the summer. This is a destination, and it's just so great to live in a place where so many people want to come and visit.
Tom, you're next.
Okay. Jane, again, thank you for what you're doing with animals. You make me look bad right now. Got 3 dogs still. But that takes a lot of love and dedication to do what you're doing with everything else you're doing. And everybody that volunteers with that you have, my hat's off to you. It's hard to do that and still not want to take a dog home. So thank you very much.
All right, Denise.
Yeah, I think listening to everybody tonight, it's all we're talking about are volunteers and truly how much we owe them in the city. Jane and the animal shelter volunteers, the 1,800 plus participants and volunteers in the Jeep cleanup. We even heard about the volunteer firefighters that have gone through training, as well as Chinook Park. So thank you to all of the volunteers that make this city a positive place to live.
All right, thanks. Lisa.
I wanted to and the honking and the waving of the flags. Also, Alice and I are looking forward to helping judge at the Lighted Kite Festival this Friday. So this will be a first for both of us, but we're kind of excited. So thank you very much for that. And I also wanted to give another shout out to Oi Hut, and they had an event this weekend, Chalk the Wall. And they had, for the Memorial Weekend, they had the Pirates out. They also did art walk, or student art, kid art, chalk art, and as well as I think Dustin the Circler was out there. And they had live music, and a lot of people came, and it was a great follow-up event to the Jeep cleanup. So thank you.
All right, thanks. Allison.
Thank you to all our volunteers. We have so many people in our community that volunteer, and I appreciate all that you all do. And I'm looking forward to the school year being over so I can get out and volunteer myself. Yeah, Oi Hut, it was great. I'm a pirate. We had a blast. Got to get some earplugs for that cannon, though, so be prepared at the Flag Day Parade. And also the volunteers for the park. Last Sunday, I was able to attend, I know we're all Hayek fans, Larry Moore, who has been the coach and a teacher at North Beach for 39 years, is officially retiring. And so a huge thank you to Coach Moore, and they rededicated the gym, and of course our gym has always been known as the House of Pain, and now it is known as the Larry Moore House of Pain. So congratulations on your retirement, Coach, and you will be missed.
Thank you. Richard.
So I think I have just 2 things, and the first one, as other people have said, thanks to the volunteers. We have an amazing community with amazing volunteers that just get a lot of stuff done. And the other thing is I want to thank Troon. When the city decided to hire Troon to take care of the golf course, there was a lot of discussion and a lot of anxiety. Are we making the right move? And based on the report tonight, it sounds like we made a really good move. So I want to thank Troon and the people that work at Troon and the council for making the decision to hire Troon. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Rich?
I just want to say that the Jeep weekend that we just went through a couple weeks ago was a perfect example when Lisa was running the LTAC committee on how to use LTAC. I mean, they didn't ask for a huge amount of money. They needed a little seed money to help advertise the event. And just what a great contribution that's made. Also want to thank the volunteers who helped at the playground, building the equipment. Again, that was way over my pay grade, as some of the people in the audience know my issues. So I was very happy to see some weed eating that needed to be done so I could use part of my day, and so maybe Jane wouldn't kick me off the slide. Thank you.
Right. Thanks. Remember, it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned.